Okie dokie. This is a little video that's not really funny or anything, and for most people, not interesting at all. Um, but I'd like to I'd like to talk about a whatever that word, fellow, who had the gamer tag of Stan the Van. So I bought the game Arma, which but I'm just playing, getting over it just as a background thing. But I just bought the game Arma, and for those who don't know what that game is, it's a military simulator thingy. I don't know. It's played by mostly I mean, you know the type of people who play those games. Anyways, so it was my first game. Well, I was enjoying the game with my friend, and we were kind of we had joined a server. We had tried making our own servers, but it didn't really work. So we we decided to just join a public one that didn't have anybody in it. And so we kind of messed around a little, and then eventually, our our guy, our friend, Stan the Van joined. He helped me learn a few things, and right off the bat, there was a noticeable. I'm not sure what to call it, but it's just a sort of a concept I'd like to talk about. This video is more of like a message to him if he goes looking for my gamer tag. But that's pretty unlikely. So it's more or less me just talking about a concept. Maybe some background noise for anybody doing something. But anyways, Stan the Van. So, he the how do I put this? I'm trying to think of a more complicated, just a better way of saying he treated me like a dumbass. But more, I was asking some pretty basic, simple questions. And most of them he just kind of ignored, and he, not sure he was really just focused on the game. And he didn't bother teaching me the game per se. He more just told me what to do, and not in a very good way. It gave pretty unclear instructions, and most of the time it would end up he was just like, you know what, it's okay, I'll do it. So this is something that I think happens to a lot of people. And you really can't talk about it in the moment or whatever you want, because people like Stan the Van. They don't like challenges. They don't like if they have an opinion and somebody challenges that opinion. or the reasoning behind it, um, they tend to run away. And in this case, the form of running away um, would be just muting me, so he wouldn't talk to me. Um, it was after a friend of his had joined and sort of poked the bear, just aggravated the situation. Didn't really do much. Just I will say, this may be, putting a bad picture on we'll just call him Stan, but he people who are ignorant don't necessarily mean to be ignorant. Um, he honestly tried to play the game with me, but he tried to more just kind of, I don't know, he would tell me to do something, but not at all how to. He would say like there's this vehicle, a striker or a something. I don't know, names of vehicles that I don't know. And I wouldn't know what that was called, or what the vehicle was. And for the most part, I just didn't say anything about it. There were moments of me trying to like confirm if this vehicle was the correct vehicle. It would be he would ignore the question until the answer was obvious, which is a very common. I mean, I'm talking like I know all this, but I think in my experience, I've experienced it's not it's people who are scared to admit they don't know something, um people who don't want to make a bad or small image of themselves, which says a lot about them, um they that means they don't want people to judge them on their uh, appearance or whatever. Hi, Kitty. Yeah, Kitty has something to say about that. But that's a sort of giveaway with anybody that you meet. Whatever they try to put forth as their character, what you see is often how they see other people, judge other people, whatever you'd like to say. Like if someone is always worried about how good their makeup is, and I mean, not like a little. I mean, you can be worried about something and not have it dictate, all of your opinions or whatever. But let's say someone's a little over. They're very, very. They have a lot of emotion towards keeping themselves looking. Kitty, you're kind of in the way. Kitty, look out! Why are you staring at my computer? She's looking inside at the fans, I think. Maybe just a reflection. Anyways, so if somebody is super worried about their makeup appearance or whatever, that you can use it as a way to that's how they judge other people. The way that because the reason they don't want to look a certain way is because that's how they see others And that's how I mean, if you're shown if there's this world, right? Just sit with me here, hang with me, try and use your imagination, where there are all these different pieces of paper, um, and these pieces of paper, one side is one color, and the other side is another color. Um, so let's say one of these individual pieces of paper or whatever. The way that they and this is difficult to explain, to put into words that people, like good old Stan can, I mean, it's some concepts are really difficult for some people to understand, just as, it is really difficult for some people to explain. But a personal opinion of mine is if you don't understand something, it's more of, it's not so much the person who is explaining it, um, but more yourself. It's your fault for not understanding, which is very contradicting, like to myself, because that that works, the whole, oh, I don't understand something, it must be my fault. Um, it works until you get unclear instructions, unclear data, whatever you'd like to call it. No. Okay. Anyways, in this world of paper, we're going to focus on one piece of paper. And this piece of paper has a mirror. Okay? It brings with this mirror, it can see itself. But it can only see because remember, the pieces of paper have two shades, two different colors. One of them is maybe more vibrant than the other, or whatever. But this mirror, they can only see one shade of themselves because they can only look at it two ways. They have one side or the other, which they're different colors. So either way, they're going to be missing out on a color. They in the mirror, they will see only the color that they choose to face the mirror. So, ooh, fancy. This doesn't, they know what color is on the other side of their, this paper, this piece of paper knows what color it is on the other side, and it can see its other side. It can turn around. This paper can kind of do whatever it wants. It can turn, face one way or the other, or crumple itself up and kind of see a little mix of everything, or fold itself in a very, so you see a certain amount of one thing and a certain amount of the other. And by thing, I mean color. So in this mirror, it sees itself, and it sees the color that it chooses to present the mirror, and they know what color they are on the other side. But if they spend too much time in facing one way, they will sometimes, well, they always will, eventually forget the exact shade of whatever color they are on the other side. You know, it'll in their mind they'll forget, you know, exactly what specific color or shade or whatever they are on the other side. They can turn themselves around and they can look at the other side. You know, they can look at the mirror and see the other side, but then they start to forget the other side. And it's kind of this one or the other. Now, this paper could, if it wanted to, it could throw itself in a blender and have it all blended up, and then with some kind of press it all back into one piece of paper. And it would not look pretty. It would be, you know, I mean, you can imagine, you know, those toys for kids where you get newspaper, you put it in water, you mix it around so it becomes all soft, and then you press it into your own pieces of paper. Those pieces of paper are never, I mean, they can be, you know, with the right amount of time and effort or whatever. But for the most part, they are not very pretty. But you can see everything that was there. It's kind of a mix of everything. So to the other pieces of paper that are all nice and folded, the majority that this piece of paper, the paper that can, you know, is deciding how it wants to fold itself or you know, show itself, see itself, because it sees the mirror, which in their eyes shows what other people see, sorry, other pieces of paper see. So it uses, you know, itself to all right, piece of paper. Anyways, let's say most of the other papers are very neat and fine. It depends on the place that you're in. You know, in some groups of paper, they are less folded, less neat. You know, they look a little more roughed up. Maybe some are just a pile of mush. You know, you just don't see anything. It's just all a jumbled up, crazy, hard to see anything at all. You'd have to pick all the little pieces apart and try and, you know, put lots and lots of effort into trying to see what this, you know, maybe what color this piece of paper originally was, or just, you know, the piece of paper. So let's say we have this world, we have this scenario, whatever you want to say. Now let's start changing this into the real world. And yeah, it's a little confusing because I mean, pieces of paper walking around with mirrors, you know, isn't exactly what you see in the day-to-day life of a human. But let's stay with the whole mirror thing. Every piece of paper has its own mirror that it sees itself in. It can it can look past the mirror and see what other pieces of paper choose to show. But in terms of seeing itself, it can only see what's in the mirror. Anyways, let's start changing it up. Let's say instead of pieces of paper, these are people. Okay? And you know, a person can't really fold themselves and blend themselves up to make a certain yeah. It can't do all those things. But one's emotions, there's no limit. They can mold them into focusing. Hold on. Should be good. Whoop. And boom. There we go. Oh, no. No. Please. No. No. I don't want to get fuck. Damn it. Anyways, these, yeah. So we're going to replace the material, the pieces of paper with people. And we're going to replace the colors with one's emotional image, or I mean, what would you call it? A sort of a personality. If someone is super brave, you know, or someone can look very funny, someone can look very unfunny and like a piece of fucking shit. But we're gonna say that the colors are, you know, things that aren't objects, emotions, memories, past events, current events, future events, whatever. Not so much future, but just, you know, these things that aren't material. And, you know, you can only... These are things that you have to show to people for them to be able to see. You can't see somebody, well, for the most part. When you look at somebody, you can't see these things that are... I mean, maybe on some people, you know, emotions, you know, you make facial expressions that portray whatever emotion you're having. But anyhow, so papers, colors. Right. You can... Now that we have this picture of people walking around with mirrors, these mirrors don't just show their... I mean, they show their appearance, and you can use your appearance to portray your emotions or whatever, blah blah blah. So, oh yeah, it's getting late. It's like 3 in the morning or some shit. Ugh. Talking about this, stay in the band. Anyways, goes into a bigger idea. Anyway, these emotions, we're gonna, take a break from what I just portrayed, or the world that we created, or the whatever. Oh shit! I'm gonna have to cut this out of the video. Shit. Okay. Yappin. Ta. Ta. Alright. Emotions are one's character. That's what I should. That's the correct word. Is the character. For the most part, your everyday person can show you any character they want. If they want to seem more, if they want to seem brave, even if they aren't, they'll do brave things, which you could, consider that bravery, I guess, if it, even if someone isn't brave, I guess you could say doing the activity is brave, but, I beg to differ. So you can appear brave if you want. You can appear passive aggressive. You can appear aggressive. You can appear mysterious. You can appear, there are many different ways a person can look. Oh shit. So, people don't necessarily show. It's a person's choice to show who they really are, or show what they want other people to see. And I mean, well, I guess. No, I take it back. What they want other people to see. So, you have all these people going around portraying their character, their whoever you want to say, and there becomes a norm, what's normal. And I don't think that's bad. If nothing was normal, nothing would be weird, and if nothing was weird or off or whatever you want to say, even wrong, but I would think weird and wrong are very different. But if nothing was different, nothing would have color, and the world would be gray and fake. I think the reason that the world is not gray and fake is because there are people choose to. There are some people who choose to show. Normally, someone does this with a close family member or just a close person. And if you're really weird like me, just to whoever, anybody who asks. Um, Now I can't just go around. Here's I think where people get a little, they get stuff wrong. It's a good thing to show who you are, um, but when you start wanting to, it, show, when you start wanting to show something, it's whatever you're thinking of that you show. And these emotions or whatever, you don't have to be thinking about the memories. You don't have to be thinking about them for them to be real. You don't have to think about them in the moment. Just how I view depression. It's not sadness. You can be happy and you can be depressed at the same time. Um, you know, it's fucking is depression. It's not sadness. Um, Depression and sadness, people mistake two all the time. I guess I don't know. I'll talk about that maybe later in this video, maybe in a couple fucking years. I don't know. Come on, get your ass up there, brother. There we go. So if, let's say, you went through a bad experience, it can be whatever. You can say, you dropped your ice cream, that sucks. You really wanted that ice cream and you don't get it. And it's a choice to. This is what I think people get wrong a lot, is it's a choice to show emotion. And people, it's hard to say that something is something when everybody else, or the vast majority of people, say it's not that thing, it's something else. So, it's a chain reaction or whatever. Shit. No! Don't do that. If you get someone who's raised by people who see emotion as not a choice, these people will be very emotional. And there's a disconnect between people who are very emotional and people who there are two norms, I think, and this is a very much so, I guess this is a soft, or it's a sensitive topic, but I think this is the big difference between men and women and how they are raised. You have the people, the men, the majority of them, who are told don't show emotion, things like that. You get a scratch, don't be a baby, suck it up. And it's, why are you crying? Why are you, why are you doing this? It's not like you have to. Fuck. And then there is the, if there's the other side, I think. Girls experience whatever growing up. oh, what happened, it's okay, if they get a scratch and they start crying, it's not your fault. Um, Accidents like these happen, you know. That's just, that's the norm, I guess. Um, that, I'm not so sure how I feel, about that being normal. Um, but anyways, with all that being said, the what we're talking about is picture is projection of someone's self who I don't know, I said it over and over. It's like four. Okay. I'm getting a little ooh. But so it's a very complicated um subject or whatever. There are so many things you can address about one's picture because I mean, think about it. Look at a picture. If it's like a picture of a forest, not a picture of a forest. If it's a picture of a landscape with maybe mountains and the water and whatever, there's a lot to take in. Um, Versus a forest. I mean, in this complicated picture where there's a lot to take in, um, there's more to take in when the water that you see in this photo. It's not like it's just water. All you see is water, but underneath there's life, death, everything in between. Well, there's all sorts of shit underwater. Or like a picture of a forest can be kind of boring. Under the trees, there's a lot more going on. When you look down at your feet and you're standing on grass, you see just grass, but if you sit and you look really close, you start to see a lot more. Um, and this idea that I'm saying, um, I mean, it goes until, the human species has, I mean, I guess it's analyzing, um, until an atom, which is an atom, there's as far as I'm aware, um, there's, you can't really explain an atom or describe an atom. Because I mean, you can't really pick apart an atom. If you do, bad stuff happens. um. Anyway, I fucking know. Oh shit! I could have saved it. Oh, it's not very noisy. Yes. Um. Yeah. So with pictures, there's a lot to go in there, and but since we have the idea, since we have that concept now, that there's a lot more than what meets the eye, Um, Now we can talk a little bit about, we can focus more in on this. With all that explained, we can talk. We can focus more in about our fellow here, Stan the Van. Um, and please, I mean, I'm not expecting, but nobody go looking for this man and fuck up his day. Just don't. Um, let's see. So you can choose what to show people, right? And you don't have to present something to show it, you know? You can, it can just be there and people can see it. If it's bright and vibrant and just crazy and whatever, you don't really have to present it. It kind of is hard not to see. This is like self-image. Someone or not self, just image. A person. If someone is super muscular, it's kind of hard not to notice. And that tells a story. They do lots of workout, you know. So if someone is doing a lot of correcting, you know, this is where not coolness is born, whatever you want to say. Bats. Aye. Stay in the bed. I've encountered this. Well, I'm not here to bitch about my own stories. You know, I mean, I like telling my. I love questions. I love them because I mean, you just get to talk. But something I've experienced a lot is correcting. I've been corrected many times, and correcting doesn't have to be right. You know, it just you can wrongly correct someone or whatever. I've experienced this with people whose job is, well, okay, let's back up a little. Correcting this thing, this correcting can be used as a weapon or whatever. Because people who correct, you know, they're people who know. They're people who are smarter. They're people who you need to make way for. But they make you smaller. So, with teachers of schools, you know, this is their job, is to correct. And some of them get a little lost in their correcting and start saying stuff that is incorrect. For example, there's correct and there's incorrect, and then you have what you think is correct and what you think isn't correct. What is correct and what is incorrect, these, you know, facts. The fact that is significant to the story that I'm telling is caffeine is a drug. Yeah, it's a very commonly used drug. But we were talking about in this class, class or whatever I was taking. It was about comedy, and the comedy was about. We were talking about different types of comedy, and we were covering the one that's like saying something very plain, something that's big and shocking, but saying it in a nonchalant way. And I gave the example of, you know, hey, you're addicted to you're addicted to a drug, you know. I mean, you have it with you. It's in your hand. Coffee, you know, full of caffeine. And then she simply said, no, that's wrong. And I said, something along the lines of what do you mean or explain. And the thing that she chose to use to get away or whatever, escape. She then explained something that didn't really need to be explained. Something that is obvious. And that makes me look dumb because I don't see something that's obvious. But she said, well, drug is something we usually use as a term for something something, just a bunch of fucking bullshit. Sorry. And she got her way, you know. I ended up just being quiet. I don't really remember. Speaking of drugs, I was on them. Not at the very moment. Well, I guess my meds, but yeah. Anyways, that made me look dumb. But I was right. You cannot say I was wrong. I mean, no, you can. You can make me look like I was wrong, but I wasn't. Caffeine is a drug. And anyone who's like, ugh, I have to have caffeine is addicted. And that's drug addiction. Simple as that. If you gotta have coffee, you're addicted to a drug, which is caffeine, which is socially, you know, it's accepted as a norm. And it's I think I hear someone screaming. The fuck? I'm hallucinating. I didn't take my meds. Sorry, I got a little off track. Now I'm paranoid. I gotta turn on the lights to my room. And I gotta close my blinds. It's gonna be a long night. This is what happens when I try and, you know, explain. Ah. I mean, guess there's a chance it wasn't, but I'm pretty sure it was just my air conditioner or something. I don't know. I still hear it, or I think I hear it. And we've had, you know, people just walk by yelling. I swear to God. I can't tell. Every time I talk, it sounds like it happens again. Can't tell. It's irritating. I'm gonna have to get on a call with someone tonight. Go to sleep. But anyways, I was talking about correcting blah 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 blah. But this teacher, right? What happened with this teacher happened with Stan the Van. Except it was a more it was a dirtier way, a more ignorant way, or whatever. Both are very ignorant, I think, but they're not. I'm not sure if I can say. I have to think about what intentional means to me, but they aren't necessarily conscious decisions, you know. But yeah. So in this game, he was just giving me very unclear instructions, and he would be kind of inconsistent. He would say the same thing over and over again, and I would, I don't know, maybe ask him how to, like if he said go here, and I wasn't completely sure what he meant, or I was just double checking, you know, because I mean we were playing a military simulator thing. That's what you do. You confirm shit. At least I would assume. You know. But I would say like I don't know how to get there or something. Even if I was in a car, you know, maybe he wanted me to bring a different car. I don't know. I was just asking the question. He would simply ignore it, or he would just restate what he said before, which is not answering the question at all. I gotta finish this up. This video is getting too long. Watch me not be recording correctly. Anyway. So these people are tricky to deal with, because when they when they're around people who are just like them, it's kind of like a wall that gets thicker the more people you add. So I attempted to be careful. Eventually, you know, I got, you know, I let the emotions get the better of me. And I confronted him, whatever you want to say. Right around when his friend, who was just a dick. I mean, we aren't talking about him. We're talking about Stan the Van. It ended in normally the person who wins or whatever is the person who gets the last remark to the other person, like, well, you're dumb, and if you don't say something back, that must mean you're dumb. But he ended up muting me while I was trying to talk to him about this concept that I'm conveying over this video, which is a very complicated, you know, some people are too small-minded to understand, but, you know, that's okay, because, you know, I say that, but, it's not a bad thing that people don't understand. It's not a bad thing when you don't understand. yeah. So when someone doesn't understand, you know, I mean, they look dumb. Uh, fuck it out. Someone doesn't understand. Yeah. So, what I'll do is I'll just say the same thing over and over again. You know, the simple question they asked me to, or instruction they asked me to do, or whatever. And then I would half explain it. Sort of. Let's back up. I asked if the engines in the game, if they had dynamic, if the sound was dynamic, like engines have multiple cylinders. Then, if you don't know much about mechanics, yeah, you know, it's a little hard to explain. But I asked if like, I used losing a cylinder as a example, because, you know, it's a distinct sound. And he kind of just said, well, see the light in the top left of your screen, where it has ENG, and that stands for engine. And if your engine's blown, it's red. If your engine's fine, it's white. It kind of goes from white to green, or to green to orange to red, and then at red your engine's broken. Unless it goes white to orange to green, I don't know. Anyways, I just asked him this question and he just ignored it, right? And I just kind of went along with it, and then I ended up bringing it up later when I started getting a little angry and his friend showed up and whatever, and I tried to explain to him, you know, how it was unfair or whatever. And I asked him, you know, what do you know about mechanics? And he's like, I don't know, not much. And he's like, I know how to use it, and that's about it. And so I said, okay, so you know that when you turn the steering wheel left, the car goes left. When you turn the steering wheel right, the car goes right. And one good, you know, he said sometimes instead of saying yes, which is true, but it's a unexpected. You know, I expected just a yes or no. I asked just a yes or no questions, and he gave a different, yeah, Katie, gave a different answer. He said sometimes, which is true, you know, but it's something that, Jesus fucking Christ, cat. It's common sense. Everybody knows, or everybody should know that, you know, if your car's in reverse or sideways or blah blah blah, you know, turning the steering wheel won't necessarily make you go in the direction that you're turning it. And I went to sort of, you know, I was not done explaining it, and what he did was throw me off track, which is, well, you know, every time I get in these situations, I get better and better at staying on track. But I ended up sort of quizzing him, like, do you know what a cylinder is? Do you know the sound of a cylinder? Do you blah 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 blah? And he was like, well, I know that most cars that have 4 of them. And I said, sure, okay. And then I threw a bunch of questions at him, which a person who knows cars would know immediately. Person who doesn't know cars doesn't, yeah, no. I talked about different engine styles, boxer engine, the difference between a boxer and a flat four, which are in the same configuration, different firing order, or an inline or a V, inline four, or I guess V4, but you don't see those much. So I said something about losing a cylinder and the distinct sound, and then I was like, well, do you know rod knock? Rod knock is a very, very distinct sound. It's a rod is a component in your engine, and if it gets loose, it starts banging on the side of the engine case, which is like the box of the engine, and it's very, it's metal slamming against metal, like a lot, very hard. It's a very distinct sound. That anybody who's even barely worked on cars, or not even worked on cars, just knows about them, would know rod knock. And finally, I got him to say, I was like, do you know what rod knock is? And he said no. And so what I was trying to do is get him to say yes or no. Or really to get him to say that he doesn't know something. That loosens him up, makes him a little more willing to say that they don't know something. But it was at the point that I got to there, and it was it got started with a camera thing with the vehicles, but it's it's insignificant in the big picture. Camera picture. Anyways, it was around this point where I kind of cornered him, that he was like, well, did you know if you go into this button and you do this and this and this, you can mute a person? And then he muted me, which was like, haha, And then he was actually, he was kind of smart. He and his friend or whatever, I don't know how they do it because I'm brand new to the fucking game. But they changed my name, and after I sent a message, and the problem with these people, the kind of thing that you kind of just have to do is you have to provoke them, because that's the only thing they'll respond to. Yeah, Kitty? Really? Yeah, she's got lots to say. Nikki? Yeah. And I just sent a short message. It was like, blah, 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 thank you for teaching me the game. How would you be an adult and unmute me and talk to me? And he did that, and he was like, I'll unmute you, but we have a problem. And he was like, we've had this guy who's been AFK for like an hour, just farming XP or whatever. And he was like, this is who it is. You need to vote kick him. And I knew that the only vote kicking, and the only people anybody had tried to kick was me. But yeah, Kitty. Yeah, put that aside and, said, maybe I didn't see them vote kicking somebody else. Anyways, I went, press vote to kick Kitty. That's enough. No, I'm sorry. And what they had done is they changed my name, and they had they got me to vote kick myself, which was pretty clever. And another thing, they said I was farming XP or whatever. It's not called XP, but I don't care. Thing is, I had asked him multiple times. I mean, it was kind of irrelevant at the time. But I had asked him multiple times, many times, if he wanted me to purchase anything with the XP. Or, for the, to help the game. And he was like, oh no, just save it up to get tanks and blah 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 blah. And we got to the point where I had a shit ton and I didn't spend it because I didn't really care at that point. I was just trying to talk to him. But so yeah, that's the whole, he was just farming XP, which is not what I was doing, but I had a lot of it or whatever, and I had not been spending it. But, you know, that was partially under his instructions. So you got to point out things like this to sort of prove your point. But yeah, I drug my friend into it, which I kind of feel really bad. Because, you know, he really just didn't need to deal with it. I was trying to get him to rejoin the game and like, because I couldn't, or this was actually when I was trying to get him to unmute me, that stay in the van, and, you know, I ended up just, you know, I kind of feel bad, but anyways, so I got kicked off the game. What am I gonna do, you know? And I wanted to get, you know, one last little thing, so, I poked around a little, went to Steam, found his name or whatever, went to his profile and awarded him the clever little ribbon or whatever. You can award people in Steam things, people who don't know. And yeah, that was kind of my last little way of saying, you know, oh, I won or whatever. And that's the only way you can get through to these people is play their game. This is something I try to get, you know, I have to say a lot. If you're ever fighting with someone who's just playing unfair, you know, and they're just always winning, you have to play the game. You know, if you try to break the rules or whatever, they'll point it out and you'll lose. So you have to play the game. You have to play how they're playing. You have to play their game. You have to be their game. Which takes quite a bit of, you know, pretty difficult. But anyways, stay in the van if you're watching this, because my hope is that he looked into my profile maybe a little bit more. And found me on YouTube maybe. Stay in the van. Hey, cool guy. You know, you taught me the game, but hopefully this helped a little self-reflecting. Yeah, this is something I wanted to talk about because, I mean, I don't know. I needed to get it off my chest or whatever. Yeah. There's a lot more I can add on to everything I've said. But I'm going to not because it's a little much. We've gone past an hour of recording. So with that, I'm going to go... I don't think I'm going to cut anything out in the video. I'm just going to send it because, I mean, even though it's a little hard to, you know, with the long pauses and some of the random words. But in the end, I think the person would be able to understand. They just try to though. So, and if you can't keep along with it, it's not you're not stupid. I am a little confusing, but I got papers on this shit, bitch. Yeah. Hope everybody has a good day, night, freaking blah blah blah, whatever. This is the most chill video I've ever made. I don't know. I have a video that I've been working on that I've been procrastinating on. It's a Fortnite video and I hate myself for it. I'm sorry. But I had fun. So, yep, with that, stay in the van. Contact me. And yeah. Toodaloo, motherfucker.